totally had like pre-travel jitters last night, but today, nothing. Now I can get everything done. So, which I'm gonna do.
Les toilettes sont hors service dans le wagon numéro 24.
Don't forget to put your watches backward 1 hour and to drive on the left after leaving the terminal.
So, hello. I went to the sex shop again. So, yeah, I was in Wales and I was visiting some friends and we were just like hanging out, drinking beer, going exploring some places and really like had a general time. Wales is super underrated as a place because like before I actually visited it, I thought that it was just like more England. And England is basically if a German retail park was a country. It is whatever. Like who gives a shit? It looks like land. Ink land, yeah. But Wales, super underrated. Very depopulated, very like the whole middle of it is just like full of like fucking hillbillies that don't speak English, which is like really weird on the British Isles. But anyways, we went to the city, which has the prestigious Bangor University. The city is of course Bangor, and we just like popped by there to go to the sex shop for that explicit purpose, which was nice. And like we went to this like dying fucking like British, well not British, Welsh town. And yeah, we found a fucking sex shop and I found some fucking games and I found them at like some really good fucking prices. And I picked up quite a few things that I've been wanting to play for a while but just haven't like felt the need to pay 50 fucking pounds for, or euros or whatever. And we're gonna talk about them. The first thing is of course Return to the King, which I got for, as you can see, £4. Usually at home it would have been about 4 times as much. I think this game is like super awesome. It's a hack and slash game that is of course set during the events of the third Lord of the Rings movie, and you can pick between a bunch of different characters, and I believe there are also some unlockable characters. It is a very fun game to play with friends, and I've been wanting to play it for like ages, like 20 years at least, because like one of my friends had it and we played it at his house, and I've always like wanted to know if it was actually good or not, but I haven't wanted to know if it was good or not enough that I wanted to pay like the Danish prices for it, so I haven't, but now I have it, and I'm gonna test it out. Yeah, looks pretty cool. These games that EA made, they are absolutely stellar, but obviously they are not as fun as the first Lord of the Rings game, the one that wasn't made by EA but was made by Sierra Entertainment, because that one had a bunch of like different modes and you could like stealth a little bit and there were puzzles, and it felt more like you were going on an epic adventure. And this feels more like you're watching the movie with your buddies, which I think is the intention, and I understand why these were popular. I think I'm gonna collect all of the Lord of the Rings games just because there are, I know that there are actually quite a few of them that are really awesome. Not the ones that were made to tie into the movie, but there are a bunch of the ones that were made after that are pretty neat. There's one called The Third Age, which I think is like pretty cool, and a few others, and I'm gonna try and get them all. That's gonna be awesome. And then I got Rise of the Argonauts for £3. This is obviously based on the Greek whatever mythology thing. It is of course heavily inspired by that movie Jason and the Argonauts from, is it from the 50s maybe? Which featured some really groundbreaking animation by Ray Harryhausen, who was like one of the greatest stop motion animators. I believe he also apprenticed on the movie King Kong maybe? And he definitely made some like very recognizable shit later on, including Jason and the Argonauts. Exploring the vibrant world of ancient Greece, Rise of the Argonauts delivers a thrilling evolution of the action RPG. As Jason, lead the greatest warriors of legend on the ultimate hero's quest through distant forbidding islands, bringing you face to face with the most feared and powerful creatures of mythology. Yeah, I love these kinds of things. And I'm guessing it may be a bit of a Diablo clone. Yeah, it definitely looks like a Diablo clone from the back, which is cool. I fucking love like Greek mythology. I think it's like so cool, and it's the perfect setting for a video game because you have a very big variety of locations and characters and enemies. So it seems like a fucking no-brainer. I think it's a bit of a shame that we don't actually see more games inspired by Greek mythology these days. Nowadays we just have like Viking shit, which is boring. I don't understand how anyone can like think that Viking shit is cool. Like, they're just fucking idiot hairy dudes that went on adventures. I don't get the appeal. Why would you like see the appeal in like a man with long luscious hair and a big flowy beard? I don't know, I don't get it. Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. This game is fucking stupid, and I fucking love it. This feels like Rockstar was at one day just like playing a GTA 3 zombie mod, and they were like, hold my fucking beer, we can make a GTA zombie mod that's better than the mods that are already out there. And then they made this, because this is what it is. This takes place in an alternate timeline to Red Dead Redemption, where John Marston becomes a fucking zombie, and then he sets out on a plot to stop the zombie plague, I believe. I haven't played it in like 15 years since the game came out, but I do remember loving it. And you could also like find the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and you could tame their horses, and it was freaking awesome. There was a bunch of like side quests, and I think there were like Yetis or Bigfoots and all that kind of stuff. And there are like near abilities and killing moves, and it becomes more pulpy. There are a bunch of scenes that are taking place in a graveyard where you're like walking through the graveyard and you're like wielding a torch and you're like smacking zombies with the torch and like setting fire to them. It has a bit of a grindhousey feel to it, which makes sense because those like throwback movies to Grindhouse were coming out around the time this game came out. So yeah, like stuff like Death Proof and like Planet Terror, you can definitely see how those movies would have affected and influenced something like this. It is fucking cool. I highly recommend it because it's very different from like the usual GTA shit. Last Remnant. This is, I believe, the last Xbox 360 JRPG that Microsoft had some kind of involvement in making that I need to collect. I think this is the last one. I do think that this eventually came out on other things, but I do think that it had some kind of like timed exclusivity deal with Microsoft. I still haven't played any of these 360 JRPGs except for Blue Dragon over there, but I'm gonna get around to it like someday. I wanna like sit down and just like play through all of them because they look different, they feel different, and if Blue Dragon is anything to go by, they play a lot different. There's a certain flair to it, like I mentioned earlier, previous video, where like the developers are not as afraid to take chances because like they aren't afraid of their rabid audiences disowning their franchises, because they aren't making games for their rabid audiences, they are making games for Westerners who have never maybe played their games before, because why would a person that owns an Xbox 360 have played a JRPG before? JRPGs didn't come out on Xbox consoles. The future will be shaped by the remnants of the past. The remnants, scattered relics of bygone era. Throughout history, they have been used for great good and only untold evil. Now, a mysterious figure has emerged, seemingly intent on seizing them all. Meanwhile, a young man scours the land for his kidnapped sister. Could her abduction be linked to the struggle for the control over these awesome artifacts? Make your way through a strikingly beautiful world, engaging in massive battles in an attempt to uncover the truth, with the graphics powered by the Unreal Engine 3 and full 5.1 surround sound. This is the next generation gaming at its best. Cool, so this is gonna have big battles where you do big battle things, and probably not gonna be turn-based. It might be a bit of a Musho thing, which is a genre of games where you just like run around on the battlefield and you just hack down a bunch of enemies. Every time you like swing your sword, you're gonna take down 50 enemies. That's a Mushu. And then we have The Bourne Conspiracy on Xbox 360. I don't think I've watched a Bourne movie since they stopped coming out, but as you can probably tell if you've been watching these kinds of videos, I have been on a bit of a quest to collect licensed games. I think they're fun. Also because, like, maybe in a similar vein to the 360 JRPGs, like, people that make these, they know they don't really have to try, because the target audience for these games are people that own Xbox 360s and also like dumb spy thriller movies. So, and they will probably just buy it because, like, it is on a console that they own and it has a name that they like. The quality of these things, it doesn't really need to be high to sell. So yeah, a lot of times, like, the developers, they phone it in a little bit, but other times they really like experiment and try and like do something weird. Like the Alias game, pretty fucking weird but interesting, and the Buffy game, pretty fucking interesting. Like, it has a combat system that is more in depth than it has any right to be, because like the combat system in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer video game, it just plays by the rules of the show. That is not a thing that video games do. Video games have their own rules about how combat should work. They don't follow the fucking source material on like how the mechanics of anything works, and it is super interesting, and this might be interesting. This, I mean, it at least has car chases, right? And it at least has like people getting beat over the head with a book, and it has shooting. So it has at least the James Bond formula down, right? So it has to be a little interesting, right? Yes, we hope so. Oh, and here's the thing that I've been looking forward to the most. This is The Quarry. This is like the poster child for why I love shopping games in Britain. At home, this is like a lot more expensive than this. And like, it's a game that I think could be fucking cool, but I know it's 2 hours long. I don't want to pay 50 fucking bucks for a game that's 2 hours long that I might turn off after 15 minutes. I probably won't. I will probably love this because I love these kinds of games. This is like one of these like games that's like made for people that don't play video games or like don't have arms to play video games with. It's a bit of like choose your own adventure. You don't do a whole lot of gameplay in these games. You just make choices. If you have ever played the Walking Dead games where you like a lot of the gameplay is just like making dialogue choices, that is basically what these this whole fucking game is. And I think what's really interesting about these is that these are the first games that I can point towards and say this is a game that is made for people that don't play video games that actually works. Because I've seen people that don't play video games play this and these kinds of games, and they fucking love them, and I get why. It's like playing through an interactive horror movie. It is fucking awesome. The story, usually, pretty fucking bad. The acting, usually, pretty fucking bad. But you know what? It's all extremely fucking fun. Man of Medan is one of these games, and it's maybe made by the same people, I can't quite remember. And Man of Medan is my favorite game of whatever year it came out. Because me and my brother, we put it in the Xbox one night, and we were just laughing our asses off through the entire fucking experience. Because it was just so laugh out loud bad. And it is the first game that is so bad it's good kind of game. That is not something we've had before. And I think like the formula of this is the only way that you can do these kinds of things. Because video games don't... When video games aren't good, they're just frustrating, unlike movies. But since this is basically a movie, it works. And I'm looking very much forward to playing this. And you can probably find a let's play of this game, of me playing it, on our second channel. I will link it down in the description if I end up doing it. Maybe you'll like to see me do let's play things. And we got another one of these kinds of games that I would really like to play, but I don't want to pay like whatever price they were demanding for it. This is Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood, if I'm remembering correctly. And it is of course set in the Vampire the Masquerade universe, which has been rebooted by Paradox Interactive. And yeah, they just licensed a bunch of games to come out, and they are all fucking shit or haven't come out, like Bloodlines 2. And this is no exception, it seems. It's like a weird stealth RPG, and it's apparently like super half-baked. Doesn't seem like it had a huge budget, and it really seems like it could have used one. I don't know a ton about it. The interesting thing about like the werewolves in the Vampire the Masquerade universe, which is called the World of Darkness universe, is that they are secret agents of order, and they are always like trying to like restore the balance of nature. So they aren't like mindless beasts having like fun sexy time in the woods. They're also doing that, but most of the time they actually like have like a mission in life where they are like the keepers of the order of things. Because if there becomes like too much chaos and too much corruption, then like the universe ceases to exist because a giant demon will like crawl out of the earth or something. Cool, looking forward to playing it. And last but not least, we have Fallout 76. This game sucked fucking ass when it came out, but Bethesda, they never gave up on it. They kept developing it and kept improving it, and they kept changing things and making it better. So now it is a fun multiplayer open world RPG that you can enjoy with your friends. And now it has such exciting things as NPCs in the world that give you a quest, which didn't exist before because they had like this dumb design philosophy that the only humans in the game should be actual real life humans, and they had like this dumbass expectation that people were gonna like set up shops and become like NPCs in the world and like fill out the roles that NPCs would normally fill out. Which people that played in the modern Fallout games, they don't want to fucking do that bullshit. They want to be the fucking hero of the story, because like that is how they've been treated by the whole like Bethesda generation of Fallout games. They haven't been made to like work for things in the same way that you work for them in the older games. Like nothing feels as earned or whatever as it did in the old games. So people aren't gonna get like super invested on level that they're gonna like commit to having a second job as like a fucking storekeeper in Fallout 76. And also because like the whole server thing in these games, it's really bad. It's not one single persistent world that like everyone inhabits. There are multiple persistent worlds, so you might end up in like a persistent world where there's only like one other player at the time, and they might be in the complete other end of the map. So you're not gonna like have that sense of community that this game would require in its original state. But then they just like put a bunch of RPG shit in it, and it's really fun now, and I've been playing it a little bit with my friends. So, like now, it actually lives up to the expectation of like, it's your future, your way, or whatever. So yeah, but I wanted a little I want a little memory of when the game was shitty, when it was not even worth £2. Like, yeah, 45. It's a redemption arc. I love a fucking good redemption arc. Gotta love it. So yeah, that was a bunch of games that I picked up for fairly cheap prices. Oh well, they are fairly cheap compared to Danish prices. And if you are in the UK, I highly recommend going game shopping, because they have very nice selections also of like retro stuff, and it is, I wanna say, like fairly cheap compared to like how bad it could be. I guess that's one of the advantages of your country being a failed democracy. It is that you get cheap fucking video games. And also, while I was in Wales, I summited Mount Snowdon again. And the cool thing about summiting Mount Snowdon again is that I summited Mount Snowdon in a snowstorm. Which was, speaking of redemption arcs, actually the redemption arc I needed. Because I did summit Mount Snowdon last year in October. But it was basically summer in October, which never happens, whatever. So I was just wearing shorts and my naked torso while I was summiting the mountain, and it wasn't terribly fun. It was way too fucking easy. And then I happened to end up on Mount Snowdon like a month ago from the recording of this, during a fucking snowstorm, and I'm gonna like show you some of the footage here and like take a look at that. That is fucking gnarly. And it was like the experience I needed, because like after I climbed Ben Nevis, which is a mountain up in Scotland, I had like this thrilling feeling where I was feeling alive. I was feeling like, oh, I could take on the fucking world, because that trip had been a trek through hell. I believe I went over it in a previous video. Yeah, fucking cool. Mudslides, rock slides, you fucking name it. It was fucking hard. I was out of shape because I was a fat little beer drinking idiot boy. And I had a bit of the same experience this time, because like I saw the snow-capped mountains and I was like, okay, cool, it can't be that hard, because like it never really snows in UK. When it does snow, it's just a little bit. So it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Yeah, it was not fine. There was like a lot of fucking snow up there. I was like trudging through this much snow at one point, and it's on a fucking mountain. And like before I even got to the snow, I was walking through this like corridor on these like stairs that are on the mountain, and a gust of wind just came in and just picked me up, and then just threw me down some stairs, and I landed like 3 meters below from where I was standing before, and I landed straight on my back, and I was like, oof, that's gonna hurt tomorrow, the day after, and the next week after that. And it does, because it still hurts a little bit. So yeah, I was pretty banged up even before I even got to the part of the mountain that was like happens now. And that is also the part of the mountain where it gets real steep, because like the thing about Mount Snowdon is that it's a leisurely walk all the way up the mountain, except for the last bit, which is really steep. And that was where the snow was, and it has also started melted, because like you never get really proper winter in the UK. It's always like the snow is always fucking melting. So yeah, the snow was melting, was slipping off the mountain, and I was slipping off the mountain, and then the snowstorm came, and then my vision just like disappeared. And I just remember my training of being a little Scandinavian boy. So I just huddled down, I sought shelter as fast as I could. I got in as much shelter as I could so I didn't feel the wind chill on my body. And then I looked around, and everyone was gone, because the idiot Scandinavian idiot boy was of course the only motherfucker that was gonna remain on the fucking mountain in a snowstorm. So yeah, I waited out the snowstorm, and I wanted to call my mommy and cry and tell her to pick me up. And those are the moments when you really feel alive, when you do something physical, when you want to give up, when you want to cry, when you want to just not give up and go down, but like give up and just huddle up into a ball and cry like a little baby. When you overcome those moments, that is when you get like that high. That like it's better than sex high. And I did. It was like Arnold says, it's like coming, you know. And really was like yeah, I made it to the top. I had this like huge like And I was just on the fucking moon for like 3 days after. That was how long like that high lasted for. It was fucking brilliant. Yeah, I'm definitely like gonna do like more snow summiting. I'm gonna go up to Scotland, I think later this year, during fall, autumn. And I'm gonna like climb some like really fucking nasty mountains because like I have the taste for it now. It's yeah, I've tasted the flesh of the mountain. I've been bitten by the mountain bug. I need to do it. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Tell me down below what you've been up to, and tell me if you've collected any games, or if you're gonna like collect any of the games that I've collected because I've collected them and talked about them. It would be very awesome if one of you like said, hello, I picked up game because you show game, I like what you show, and I picked up game. And also let me know if you like the game that you picked up. And also let me know if you didn't. Because it would be funny if I like showed you something and you got terribly disappointed by it. It would be a little funny. So yeah. That's been it for me. Until I see you again.